everybody, my name is Jared, and today I am going to be reviewing for you The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was the very first Zelda game that I ever played, ever. And I found it to be very fun, actually. It's a really good game, in my opinion. It comes close to being my favorite game, just barely beating the new Spider-Man game for the PlayStation 4, which I may or may not review on this channel. So, why do I like this game? Well, the first reason is I do like the story. And one reason for that is because I felt like, unlike some other Zelda games, such as Majora's Mask, which didn't even have Zelda in it, it focused a lot more on Zelda's side of the story. Like, she's a princess, but she's struggling with her sacred duty. She's like supposed to have these magical powers or something that will help her to help Link to defeat Ganon. But for some reason she can't awaken these powers, and that gets her that gets her really frustrated. And because she's so frustrated, she's pushing everyone away, including Link, who is her appointed knight in this game. Eventually she does discover that she has these powers, but it's too late for that, and then she has to go fight Ganon on her own while Link is healing in the Shrine of Resurrection. And so, that was pretty cool. And, Link's side of the story is pretty good too, like he has amnesia in this game. And I'm not really usually a fan of the whole amnesia thing, but for this one, it actually worked for me because it added to the mystery of what was happening 100 years ago when Link was almost killed. So yeah, that was really, really fun. So basically, what Link has to do, he has to journey throughout all of Hyrule to set free the 4 divine beasts, which consists of a giant robotic elephant, a giant robotic gecko, a giant robotic hawk, and a giant robotic camel. And by setting them free, along with the champions, Link now has enough power to face Ganon, besides his Master Sword, which you don't have to get in this game, but I'll talk about that later. So once he has the Divine Beasts, he's ready to face Ganon in the castle, set Zelda free, and once he sets Zelda free, she's able to kill Ganon and save Hyrule. And that's basically the whole story. I found it to be really entertaining and really fun, so that was neat. Another thing I liked about this game was the map of the area. It was a free roam game, and it was a really, really huge map, actually. There was a lot to explore. Like, there was a volcano, there were a lot of forests, there was a giant snowy mountain, there were deserts, and I could go on about all this stuff, but that would take a little while, and I don't want this video to be too long, you know? And by exploring throughout this thing, you can find shrines, and shrines are basically the dungeons of this Zelda game. By doing shrines, you get these spirit orbs, which are like these little circle things, and once you have 4 spirit orbs, you can trade them to a goddess statue, the goddess Hylia, and you can either trade them in for a heart or a stamina vessel. Now, a heart will give you more life, so that's probably the one that you would go for, because, you know, you gotta survive if you want to save Hyrule. And stamina vessels just allow you to run a little longer. For some reason, there's a lot of villages in this place, and in these villages, there are villagers. Because, you know, it's a village. And what the villagers do, they can give you a side quest. And the side quests don't really mean anything, but they can bring you a lot of cool stuff. Like in one of them, you have the ability to get this like little tiara thing that can help you survive some pretty harsh environments. So that's a cool side quest. And Hyrule, like that's where you are in this game. It has some pretty cool Easter eggs, like this one mirror thing from Twilight Princess. I think that's what it was. So I found that to be really, really cool. But while I do like the game, this is a review. And if it's a review, I need to point out some of the things that I didn't like about this game. And one of them being the side quests. Now, I know that I said that the side quests are cool, but not all of them are cool. Like, one of them has you go off to slay a giant desert monster to help this woman who needs the monster's guts to cure a disease that her husband has. That is an awesome side quest. And in another one, you just got this guy who asks you to find his 10 chickens. That is not an awesome side quest. Like, why would you even do that? The only reason that you would do this side quest is so you can unlock an even cooler side quest that you can get later, but you can't even get that side quest until you do this side quest and another useless side quest, which which tasks you to search for a bunch of fireflies for this one woman. And it's so dumb. Side quests can lead you to shrines. And speaking of shrines, some of the shrines are just so complicated in their puzzles. Like, sometimes you would even have to start one all the way over before you would finally realize what you were supposed to get the spirit orb. The thing that annoyed me was, there's this thing in the game where you can get a whole bunch of weapons, but they're all gonna break eventually. Like, all of them. No matter how strong they are or how tough they are, they're gonna break. So it doesn't even really matter what weapon you get. Well, it does, because it helps you to kill monsters more easily, but it's going to break eventually, so you'll have to find a replacement for that weapon. And the same goes for both shields and bows. And finding and replacing weapons and shields and bows can get old pretty fast. And that's something that you have to deal with throughout the entire game, because there's no way to, like, stop that. There's no wielder throughout the game who can, like, wield you an even more powerful weapon, and that doesn't break. And that's just really annoying to me. The only weapon throughout the entire game that does not break at all is the Master Sword. But the Master Sword is something on its own. Like, you don't have to get it in order to beat Ganon. It makes the boss fight with Ganon a lot more easy. But getting it is a story on its own. For one thing, you have no idea where it is. You just know that Zelda hid it in a forest somewhere. Because everyone says that a great magical sword, which is the Master Sword, resides in a forest somewhere, so you have to go find it. But since you have no idea where it is, you'll find yourself looking through every single forest. At least that's what I did. And eventually, you find it, but the forest that the Master Sword is in is so big, and it is just covered in fog. And if you go off too far from the path you're supposed to take, the fog will go all around you and put you back at the beginning. So you have to follow these lanterns, which will apparently lead you to the sword. But at one time, the lanterns will completely disappear and there will be no more. So you have to find the sword again. And I later found out that you need a torch to light your way to the Master Sword. Apparently, the flame on the torch will lead you to the sword. And how were you supposed to know that? Like, how are you supposed to know that the direction of a burning flame can lead you to the Master Sword? Like, if a fire was burning, would you follow it? Follow it? Like, where the fire was burning? No, it wouldn't lead you anywhere. It would just... A fire, I don't really know how it works, but it just burns in whatever direction it wants. But this one leads you to the sword, and you had no idea of knowing that at all whatsoever. But then you follow the fire, and finally, you found it, the Master Sword. It can be yours. All you need to do is pull it out. But unlike some other stories and things, instead of you just simply being worthy, lifting the sword up and go like, I have the power! Yeah, you're not worthy at all for some reason. Even though in some of the memories you can get back, where Link is clearly holding the sword on his back, like, he seems to be wielding it perfectly fine, but in this one, he's not worthy at all. Or at least he is worthy, but for some reason, you have to get 13 hearts in order for you to even lift the sword out of its pedestal. And if you don't have 13 hearts, you will die. Which means that you have to go out of the forest, do a whole bunch of shrines just to get 4 spirit orbs, and then trade them to the goddess Hyrule just to get 1 heart. And eventually, when you finally have 13 hearts, you can finally go back and get the sword. And it would be just a lot easier if you could just simply lift it out. Because that's usually what happens in the other Zelda games, I think. I don't know. I'm not the biggest Zelda fan, but yeah. And then there's the environments in the game. Now the environments, while they are pretty cool, they can sometimes get on your nerves. Like in the volcano area, the air is literally too hot for you to survive in. You will literally burn to death. So you'll need to get these like fireproof elixirs. If not, you're gonna die. In the desert area, rewind a little bit. In the volcano area, you can buy a heat-resistant armor, but in the desert area, for some reason, the heat-resistant armor doesn't work. So you're still going to be all hot in the desert area. So you'll have to either find this lobster shirt or something, or you can either make a cooling elixir. And then in the desert area, there's a town which, for some reason, only allows men in. And there is just no way you can sneak in at all. Like, Link is a guy, so they're not going to let him in. The only way that you can get in is by finding this guy who just so happens to be on a hotel, and he will give you a disguise, but you have to pay 600 rupees for it. Woof. And then, for some reason, there's this monster in the game called a Lynel. Now, Lynels are basically these lion manticore or things that, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Lynels are basically these half-human, half-Lynel, half-horse things that can easily take you down in just one hit if you're not careful. And for some reason, those creatures alone are harder than Ganon, who's supposed to be the most powerful enemy in the whole game, but those things can literally just knock you out in just one hit no matter how strong you are. Like, they can't always do that, but they can if you mess up. And it just sucks. So, while I do have some bones to pick with this game, I really, really do like it. Like, the 4 champions that pilot the 4 divine beasts, they give you, like, these 4 different powers. And with these 4 different powers, you can, like, sort of fly, you can create an invincible shield, you can heal yourself, and you can even zap all your enemies around you. And that's pretty cool. You can also buy a bunch of different clothes in the game, and there's a dye shop. And you can dye some of your clothes, like you can get a hood, you can get some pants, and maybe you could make yourself look like the guy from Assassin's Creed. I don't know what his name is, but that is pretty cool. I also found the gameplay to be nice. Like, I know that the whole running thing and then just easily getting tired thing is kind of annoying, but other than that, it's pretty good. You can even like slide down a hill on your shield, like shield surfing. It's basically snowboarding, but with shields. Yeah, that's what it is. It is. And the fighting in this game is pretty cool. Like, you can dodge, and then you can attack, and you can attack really fast, and you can knock all the monsters out. And sometimes there's a group of monsters who are hiding a bit of treasure, and when you kill all these monsters, you can get that treasure, and I found that to be really cool. Well, it was so... I don't know, but there was something about it that was really nice when you killed a group of monsters, and then they would have to give you their treasure, so... that was really cool. Okay, so, in conclusion, I liked the game. I didn't like some parts of the game, like the whole weapons thing, but I do like the game in general. I thought the story was good, I thought the gameplay was good, it was nice that you had so much to explore in this area, and the final boss fight with Calamity Ganon, I found that to be amazing, just like a final boss fight should be. Would be. So, yeah. I like the game, and in the end, with its good gameplay, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And that is my review for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider leaving a like, maybe subscribe down below, and I will see you in the next video.